You're watching the Staten Island Soccer Report!
Watching the Staten Island Soccer Report. And don't forget...
Ho dedicato la mia vita ai momenti più felici, ad inseguire un sogno, il mio sogno. Quante volte mi hai deluso, non importa, io ci credo e vivo il mio sogno. Bari, grande amore, Bari unica e sola, Bari nel nostro cuore, non ti lasceremo da sola, facci sognare ancora, facci gridare ancora, facci gridare ancora, Bari nel nostro cuore, non ti lasceremo da sola mai. Quanti viaggi con gli amici, tanti posti sconosciuti, tutti uniti innamorati di un sogno. Canto sempre con orgoglio, anche quando sono stanco, mai nessuno può distruggere il mio sogno. Bari, grande amore, Bari unica e sola, Bari nel nostro cuore, non ti lasceremo.
All right, welcome everyone to a brand new edition of the Staten Island Soccer Report, coming to you live tonight from the studios of CTV. Alongside me, I got Vito Canena. I think, as always, you guys remember this face. And also tonight, a very special guest, Ludo Masucci. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you, John. Thank you for having me.
Just want to say one thing before we get going. We got David in the control room there. We got Guy back there. Kenny, thanks to all them guys for helping out with the showtime. Without them, there's no show. So, guys, let's just get right into it. We'll start with Vito. He's got some stuff here.
Sure.
It's not going to take long.
Yeah.
You know, you want to start with the body? Serie D. And Ludovic, I'm sorry that we had to put you through this body song for a few minutes.
Well, I know why I was invited.
Right.
Because now the owner of Bari is the Napoli owner, since I'm a Napoli fan, so that's why I was invited, because now De Laurentiis is the owner of your favorite team.
And the best owner, I think, in Bari's history. Yeah, I think so.
So we're going to get into that, and we're going to get into just let Vito cover some of this stuff here, what's going on Staten Island.
Yeah, well, you want to start with Staten Island, then let's talk about, let's talk about the girls' soccer team. So what I saw on the PSAL, 42 points, Susan Wagner. Tomville was second, 36. When I was there, Tomville, it was like title town, because they were winning every year.
Okay.
Curtis, 27 points. Patrides, 27. McKee, Staten Island Tech, right after. And then with 15, Udorp, 12 points. And then Port Richmond Red Raiders. And then CSI, High School, McGowan, they were last.
Okay.
So that's for the girls' side. The boys' side, Curtis, first place with 32 points.
Nice.
Susan Wagner right after them at 31. Tomville, 29 points. Okay. Newdorp, 26. McKee, Staten Island Tech, right there, 21. Patrides, 12. Port Richmond, 9. And then CSI McGowan rounding it up.
Okay.
So that's locally.
Basically, you know, soccer in this country, guys, they don't, you know, they have a playoff. So what you do in the regular season, sometimes you could finish second, third place, and then make a run and win a title, right? So it's not like in Europe where they just have the top team wins the Scudetto. So
Well, that's for Serie A.
Right.
Not for Serie B and Serie C. They do have
Right.
the playoffs.
Right.
But it's all to in a way to generate more income and more games and
Excitement, yeah.
You know, when you mentioned before the show started the Mayor's Cup, that was an interesting thing. A lot of people might not know. You may want to.
Yeah, well,
elaborate on that.
congratulations to the public school boys and girls soccer team for the city of New York beating the Catholic schools. The girls,
All-Stars.
right? The All-Stars, right? Boys and girls. On the public school side, they won both games yesterday. They were played. The girls, I believe, won 2-1, and the boys were 3-0. So it was a sweep for the public schools.
You know, Ludo, they should do that in Serie A. They should have an all-star where there's North versus South. The best players from the North go up against
Yeah.
the best players in the South
Yeah.
during the halftime, halfway towards the end of the season. Do it mid-season.
Let's give a quick body.
Well, there's already what to respond to his to answer to his questions. They're already talking about bringing the Italian Serie A back to 16 teams, the
Really?
way it used to
Oh.
be
Right.
a few years ago.
I'm not a
I
fan of
doubt
that.
it's going to pass because, like we mentioned, now everything is about money, is about
Yeah.
business, is about TV rights,
Exactly.
and sponsors.
I think you should
and,
increase it.
And that's what. Well,
I would
increase it
increase
because
it.
you're already finishing. Then don't forget that you have the national team in between those games,
Yeah.
and in order to get the season completed, you still have to play a few Serie A games on Wednesdays. Then you have Champions League, you have Coppa Italia. There are too many games.
So much going on. All right, give us a quick update on Body. Serie D.
Body's
Serie D.
first place, 27 points. They're
Yeah.
playing Gela next week, another Sicilian team.
And they're undefeated in Serie D, right? They got a good team.
They never lost. You know,
So,
they've had
hey, look,
ties. They beat Matera 1-0 87 minutes this week. I saw it.
Ludo, it's unfortunate. We have to suffer as the fans of this team because of what the owner did, okay, last year. We suffer. Okay, they're in Serie D. But right now, we're the best team in Serie D. And that's what we have to do to climb the ladder again.
John, it's not the only owner. You see it every day in professional soccer, especially in Italy, that teams cannot. They don't have the funds. They don't have the money in order to begin a new season or start a new year. So they basically have to start from the bottom. It happened to Napoli. It happened to Messina. It happened
Parma.
to many other to Parma. It happened to many other professional teams that the funds are not there. So now the money is not there because it's basically currently in Italy a Serie C or Serie D player. They're basically making a living. So now the only way these clubs will survive once they reach the professional level is if a player in their youth system, in their farm system, develops and can generate a certain amount of money for the club. And of course, they have to be sold to a professional team. But now this is a whole different aspect. So now, do the Italian teams really want to work on their farm system? Do they want to invest the millions of dollars that are required in order to have an adequate farm system? I don't think they want it. They want the cake already done. They don't want to spend the money on the young players in order to develop the homegrown player.
I agree.
Well,
You couldn't say any
Let's
better.
just finish up with Body. And, you know, in their case, from what I hear from, you know, I wasn't there, but he wasn't able to pay the players. But why not say anything? Why not say, hey, look, you know, I can't pay these guys no more. Didn't say anything for a couple of weeks, didn't pay the players. Then didn't pay for the league, Serie B, coming into this season, right? So why not say this ahead of time instead of now we lost all those pretty good players. We had some good players on that team. We had to start over, you know, from
Exactly.
scratch.
Well, they kept a couple
Why
of
not
veterans.
say anything? Let the people know. Speak to the mayor. Speak to somebody. Ask for help.
Well, it's.
You know,
I would say
instead
it's the usual Italian way of doing it. That down to the stretch, down to the finish line, someone or something will come to the rescue and help these teams.
Yeah.
But now certain things sometimes they happen because they have to happen.
Yeah.
Just like Napoli did. Napoli could have been saved years ago. No, they had to start from Serie C. But now, why certain clubs have to start from Serie C and certain clubs have to start from Serie D?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It all
the
depends on your
That's the question.
how famous you are,
Right.
on your history.
Okay, so anyway, that's in the past now. You know, Body had it, as you know, scratch everybody, start from the bottom again, the real bottom, Serie D, right? So we're on our way back, I think. This is the way back to Serie A. This is the beginning of
I would
coming
think
back.
so. I would think so.
We have a great owner,
yeah.
right? I think you would agree with that. He's a pretty good owner.
He's a businessman.
He's a business, all
Yeah.
right, that's
He's-
fine.
Movie
I don't
director.
think today the decisions are made according to your heart and according
Right.
to your emotions the way they were made 30, 40 years ago
Right.
with the classic owners of like Roma, like Viola or
Right.
Fraizzoli or Moratti from Inter. De Laurentiis is a businessman.
It's about the
he
money.
treats his teams. It's a business. So now, when you start from Serie D, any organization that starts from Serie D, remember, Italian soccer is in the hands of only a few people.
Right.
You know, if you want to go forward, you want to go up to Serie C, Serie B, Serie A, you have to speak to certain people. You have
Right.
to make a deal with them. They have to bring you the players. They have to supply you the players.
Right.
That's right.
Because you need certain players that can play in a certain group, certain players that can play in Serie B, but they cannot play in other areas.
Okay.
So basically, you need to go along with those people if you have a plan that you want to go back to Serie A in 4, 5, 6 years.
So now, that being said, we have the right man to do that,
Oh,
to
for
make
sure.
the deals.
For sure. This is.
Yes, but they didn't make the deals with the right people in order to bring body from Serie D to Serie A.
We'll see.
Remember, you need
Right,
certain
right,
players.
Right, but 1 year at a time, right?
Correct. So
Okay.
now these people will ask you, what do
Yeah.
you want to do and in how long you want to do it.
Yeah.
So now the Laurentiis have to tell these people, listen, I want to go to Serie A in 5 years. So now you need these players. You need to pay them this amount of money.
Right.
They need to have this salary. This is going to be your roster
Okay.
for
Sounds
this
good.
year. Then you go to Serie C.
Yeah.
Now the roster has to change.
Right.
I agree.
It happened to Napoli the same
Yeah.
way
Right.
when they
I-
went to Serie C.
I can't see De Laurentiis ruining his reputation and his legacy. He's always been a successful person. I can't see him. I can only see him going on the way up with Body. I can't see him going on the way down.
Well, remember, Vito, that De Laurentiis, when he came into the world of soccer, he had no clue.
Yeah.
Everything was in the hands of the manager at that time for Napoli. His name was Pierpaolo Marino. And he basically taught the very little about soccer that now De Laurentiis knows.
Right.
Of course, Berlusconi, much more experience. Moratti, they have they have great experience in soccer. They know the game. They know the atmosphere. De Laurentiis now, yes, he knows a little bit, but not as much as
You know what?
other presidents.
You're right. You don't even
do.
need to know because if you have the money, that's all that counts is the
That's- yeah,
investments. Is
that's it.
like
Well, but
what-
that's you hit it right on the nose. It's about money. Look at Juventus. Juventus,
Yeah.
compared to the other Serie A clubs, they basically
They're light
generate
years.
5 times more the amount of money
Yeah.
than Inter, than Roma, than Napoli,
right.
and Lazio and Milan put together.
together,
So now
yeah,
the
that's-
salaries that Juventus can afford in Serie A, nobody else can.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, we got a caller? All right, caller, you're on the Staten Island Soccer Report. Going once, twice. If nothing, we could just move
I
on.
don't know. We hear the wind.
All right, so that being said, we'll close the book on Body right now. I mean, good luck to them. Hopefully they can get back to.
Yeah, I think
you
they
know.
will, John, because they have veterans that were there the whole time. You have Brienza's the
Yeah.
captain. They brought back the Cesare.
Listen,
So that's what helps.
They
You
don't
need-
have anything right now. They have to get back to at least Serie B.
Yeah. Well, the forwards.
They got a stadium. That's all they got.
Right, to the professional
Yeah.
level. Look at
Right.
Parma. Parma,
Parma
they
did
didn't
it.
even have hot water in their locker rooms
Oh, wow.
at one point. They didn't even have a locker
Yeah,
room.
right.
Yeah.
The
So-
lights were not turning on.
Yeah.
So there's hope. If they did it, Parma
There's a
did it.
lot of hope for
There's
Body. Look
There's
at their
hope.
forwards. Punzebon,
Again, it starts with-
Punzebon and Sime.
There's hope for
They've been
Body, but look
scoring.
how many clubs do not have hope anymore. They
Right, yeah,
basically
that's-
just,
well, that's the
they
sad-
just disappear and they
that's-
have to start
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
from Eccellenza or Promozione, even in the
Well, De Laurentiis,
amateur,
De
level.
Laurentiis said they're Body's the 6th or 7th biggest fan base. So
Yeah,
when you have that kind of a fan base, you deserve to be in the upper tier. So
and Napoli
It'll
too
be-
when they were in that situation, right? The same thing with the
yeah,
Negri.
you know what? Body
Same.
fans have to be patient. It might. Hopefully, they could do it in 3 years. We'll see.
All right, if we can't get the phones going, it's okay, we'll just continue on. All right, so that being said, let's jump into your background a little bit. You're wearing a logo there, the Brooklyn Italians. Let's,
Yes,
Tell
Brooklyn
us-
Italian
tell
Soccer
us about-
Club. It's a club that's been around for many years. Founded in 1949 in Brooklyn, in Bensonhurst. And currently, let's start from the top.
Yes.
We have the NPSL team, National Premier Soccer League, that this league plays 3-4 months out of the year. And it starts the end of April, beginning of May, and the season runs through the middle of August. And then we have a youth system. We have a pre-travel and travel teams from U7 to U19 that compete in the NPL, National Premier League. There are only 10 National Premier Leagues in the U.S. And then we have a Scuola Calcio development program where kids learn the fundamentals, and
Right.
that's
Go ahead.
open to boys and girls from 4 to 14 years old. So basically, overall, we have about 500 kids. We also
Nice.
have a girls program that they play in the CYO League. We have 2 girls teams,
Right.
and it's growing. So the club is growing.
okay, so we're growing with the girl, on the girl side of things, you guys are growing with
Yes,
that?
yes.
okay?
I remember Franco Zuccala did a show when he used to comment, they used to give the results of the Brooklyn Italians, I temi del calcio, remember that?
Yes, it's an
And-
historic club.
And he used to, every week, they used to say, oh, Brooklyn Italians did this, Brooklyn Italians did that, I remember.
Yeah,
Yes,
so,
2 times U.S. Open Cup champions
Okay.
back in
Nice.
1979
Nice.
and 1991, and many famous professional players from the past have played with the
gone through,
Brooklyn Italians.
right. Okay.
Name some, name a few of them.
Mike Windishman, the captain of the United States national team
Nice.
back in 1990 in Italy. Juan Carlos Osorio,
Oh, yeah,
the coach of
Mexico.
the Mexican national team. Tim Parker currently plays with the Red Bulls. Shalee Joseph that played with the Boston in the MLS.
Okay.
And a few other players that right now and do not come
All
to
right,
mind.
that's fine.
Trying to go Jen.
Yeah. Guys, we could cut the phone line off if it's not working. We'll just cut it off.
I just want to
All
say,
right.
will you agree with this statement? Life has relationships. Sports shows us true love. Life needs sport. This was a quote from ESPN magazine.
Yeah.
It does. No, I totally. Sport brings emotions from the younger. It's passion. It's emotions like sports in general. Look at us at the Brooklyn Italians. We have an over 50 team
Right.
that we play in the
That's-
Long Island League every Sunday. We chase a soccer ball. We practice during the week, and we play on Sundays and compete against other teams from Long Island and Queens. So passion you cannot buy, and
Over 50.
Yeah.
Heard that?
I want to say,
That's unbelievable. That's
growing
great.
up, Ludo and John, a lot of people would, throwing the ball around with their father. Me and my father, facciamo i passaggi. We used to, kick the soccer ball around.
Right.
That's what.
Well,
that's-
Being
kids,
Italian,
literally, we
being
used to play in the
Italian.
piazza. I
Yeah.
mean, everywhere where you had
Yeah.
like a little space, whether it was dirt or it was the piazza of the town where you were born, and only God knows how many windows were broken.
So talk about your team. You're over 50. How's
Well,
the season
currently,
going?
it's the season is going really well. We're currently in second or third place by goal differential, I believe.
Okay.
And yesterday we defeated Hoda, the Hoda Bavarians, the over 50 team in Long Island in Franklin Square in
Nice.
overtime on penalties.
Nice.
We defeated them, and now we're on to the semifinal of the League
Very
Cup,
good.
and we play next Sunday against another team from Long Island. They're called Polonia.
Good. Good luck
So
with that
I'm
next week.
assuming
Yeah.
they're mostly Polish.
Okay.
Where would you,
Yeah,
you put, Ludo, the Brooklyn Italians in comparison with the Cosmos? What place would you, what would you say?
Well, the Cosmos have a rich traditions. The best players in the world have played with the Cosmos back in the 70s. I remember
Yeah.
I was a teenager and going to Giant Stadium to watch the Cosmos.
Yeah.
75,000 people watching Franz Beckenbauer. Yes, people could say, oh, but they were over they were not good enough to play in Europe. Agree. But still, when you see a Pelé, a Beckenbauer, a Carlos Alberto, and Neskens and other players touch the ball, the touch is always there. And
Right.
when a pass is made 20, 30, 40 yards and it reaches your teammate's foot, you still enjoy, and class is class, no matter how old you are. So we really had a great time, and now they want to continue with that rich tradition. And I just found out last week that a new league is about to be born with 11 founding members of that will play in the MPSL, but the professional side with professional players. So the Cosmos will be back next season to play in August in Brooklyn and in Coney Island at the
tell you.
Keyspan
Hopefully
Park.
one day, Ludo, we can see the Cosmos jump into MLS. That would be something else.
Well,
that would be,
That
that'd be pretty cool.
that would be great, because they certainly deserve it. Like I
Yes,
said, they've been around
I'm in
for many,
agreement.
many years,
All right,
and
we may have a caller
everyone
again.
knows the Cosmos around the world.
Caller, you're on the Staten Island Soccer Report.
Okay, gentlemen, please. Can you hear me, guys?
Hey,
Yes.
Fabrizio Benici. How are you?
Why?
Un siciliano, Ludo. Tu sei napoletano, noi siamo barese e abbiamo, per completare l'insalata c'è un siciliano.
Bruh.
That's right. Anyway, a question for you about the Italian Federation. If they do not qualify for this European Cup, do you see any drastic changes?
Good
from top
question.
to bottom?
Good question.
Oh,
I like that question a lot.
I think they just changed. They added a new president, right?
Yeah,
Well,
but
the
think-
the president has changed, but like the way we were talking before, I think it has to change at the street level. It has to change at the youth level, and it has to change at the development level. I don't think currently Serie A as a structure in a place that everyone, all the clubs, they're on the same page in order to develop the youth system, to develop their young players and bring them to Serie A. We want to see more Lorenzo Insigne. We want to see more of the Verrattis. But in order for these players to develop, there has to be a structure in place in Serie A. And not many clubs have the structure currently in Serie A in order to compete with other European clubs, big clubs in other nations like Germany or Spain and the English Premier League. Those clubs really invest a lot of money in their youth system. In Serie A, that is not being done because they want already the product. They want to purchase someone already developed from another nation and basically bring them to Serie A and then try to sell it, and hopefully this player will turn out to be a great player. Look at the perfect example. Look at Udinese. Look at the players. Look at the roster of Udinese. Sometimes when I look at that, when I watch their games and I look at their roster, sometimes I think they find these players on the yellow pages because I really don't understand the system.
Yeah.
And other clubs, they're trying to copy the exact same system. So now everyone has to be on board on the FIGC, and they all have to be on the same. They all have to be on the same page. Now I will take it a little bit further. Cagliari, they have great players. Atalanta have great youth players, but in order for these players to compete at the national team level, they must play with big clubs, meaning you need the experience of Champions League, of Europa League. That's where your bones will be built. So now if you stay in Cagliari, if you stay in Atalanta and you just play Serie A, I don't think you will have adequate experience when the World Cup comes around or the European Cup comes around in order to compete with the big boys, with the other national teams. So now, even if a player from Cagliari, a good player from Cagliari or Atalanta, gets sold to Napoli or to Roma or to Juventus, they're going to sit on the bench.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Right.
They're going to sit on the bench, and it's not going.
Yeah.
That's the
and it's
problem.
not going to happen, and we're not going to
That's true.
develop.
That's
We're
true.
not going to develop the players and compete. Remember, we won the last 2 World Cups. I'm not sure about 1934 and 1938 because I wasn't around. But remember, in 1982 and 2006, Italy became World Cup champions because the majority of the players were from
Serie A.
Juventus.
Yeah.
Juventus had 6, 7 players that were starting every Sunday.
Right.
So those players, they had Champions League experience, and they were absolutely great players. Now
Homegrown.
look at Juventus. How many Italians do they have on the team? And the players from outside of Italy, the foreigners, they occupy the important positions on the field. Yes, we have the Chiellinis and we have the Bonucci's, but how long they can be
That's
around
it.
for?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, the thing is,
that's-
Italy's got it. It's difficult. It's sad to see Italy being second fiddle to Portugal, to Spain, because you know what? We taught the world. We modernized the sport of soccer. So it's a shame to see the changes, or if they're just selling out. If Italy they don't care. They rather, get these foreign players to come in because it's gonna bring a lot of money to Italy. That's what they've been doing. I mean, Matteo Salvini made a good point. When they had 73,000 the game against Portugal, he says it's all about money. Things got to change sooner or later because I don't think Italian fans want to see, this struggle continue. Because if they don't make the Euros, this is worse than not making the World Cup because
Oh, no,
this
the
is
World Cup was
But
worse.
you want to know something, John? It's a repeat. It's a repeat of
it's
the
a repeat,
failure.
right.
You don't.
So,
You got to
guys,
go in the better
The
direction.
business side will never change.
Right,
In
exactly.
today's sports, in general, the sponsors dictate
Yeah.
when and where you play and what time you play. According
Absolutely.
to
Yes.
how many people they get to watch. They get to watch. They get to watch TV.
And I think Mancini's is only a trial coach because they gave him a
Yeah.
2-year contract. They didn't give him a long-term contract. So I mean, this is a test
So
for
guys,
him to
should
see what
they
happens.
put a cap on foreign players? City?
Absolutely.
They can't?
They can't
Yeah,
because
it's a shame that they used to have all these key players come from Italy, and now they're veering off that and
That's
going
true.
to
So why? So
well, because of
Germany,
the
getting players to come in there.
because of the European Union. Since Italy
Yes.
is part of the European Union, so those players can go to play in different countries within the European Union and still be considered Italians, let's say. Just like a pizza man or a construction worker or any other jobs that from Italy they can move to Germany or vice versa, so that you cannot change because of the European Union. The only way you can change it if you exit the European Union. And that's what England is trying to do.
Yes.
So now, if England succeeds in exiting the European Union, then you can put a cap on. I believe they already spoke about.
yeah.
They spoke about 12 players.
They're trying to do that
Yeah,
now.
you know,
right?
Fabrizio, what is the Italian League done? Make everybody's national team better. That's what we've done.
Yeah. All right,
you see
Fabrizio.
all these great players, they come to Serie A, they go on the national team, they score against Italy.
The one thing I want to say is that
Yeah.
they can't just keep changing president and coaches every 1-2 years because there's never going to be continuity like that, and they can never be successful if they're going to keep doing that.
Yeah, at some
It
point.
has to change at the bottom. It has to
point, you gotta be
change.
consistent.
You have to start changing from the streets. You have to start changing in the, like I said before, the youth system, the farm system of every Serie A team. But everyone has to be on the same
On the same page.
page.
That's right. And Ludo, also give a shot to some of these players in Serie B. There was that clip that you sent me, that Lega Pro. The Lega
Fabrizio, any
Pro-
last words?
Lega Pro.
Any last words, Fabrizio?
Some of them are talented.
You.
All right, thank-
And, we'll see how we'll watch the game Italy and against USA friendly.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Very interested.
All right.
Tomorrow.
Thank you
Believe
for
it or not,
calling.
guys,
You got it, guys. Have
Thanks,
a great
man.
evening.
the
Thank you.
majority of the Italian teams, they don't want to give their players to the national team.
Yeah.
They're going to get hurt. They might
Yeah.
get hurt,
Yeah.
and it gets them tired because there's so much at stake in the Italian Serie A,
That's
whether
true.
it's Champions League, that they really, these games during the week where these players have to leave their
Right.
club teams and go to the national team, it's a little bit,
It's much.
you know,
It's too much.
the Italian teams, it's business.
Let's take Juventus for example. National team play. What do they have now? Well, now not so bad, right? Last year was more. Well, the year before that, 5, 6 players, right? Like you mentioned. So you got the national team, like you mentioned, the Champions League and right, Coppa Italia,
yeah.
Super Cup, and all
Yeah,
these cups, right?
exactly,
It's just
exactly.
too much on a body.
You know what
like
I think, Ludo? It's not like there's not enough talent. Tomorrow we're going to see Keane, 18-year-old from Juventus, playing against the United States.
Well, that's a friendly. Those are
Yeah, I
friendly,
know,
so-
but you want to discover who's going to be the next coming, and we have these players. I remember one year when Daniele Sciudone was playing for Taranto, Bari discovered him in Serie C, and he ended up being a good player. So, you know, they have them. It's
So
not
what's
like
the purpose
they
of
have the
tomorrow's
players.
game? What are they
Well,
going to
the
get?
purpose,
What are they gonna get?
I guess Mancini doesn't have any other choice. If you want to try a player from Cagliari, from Atalanta, from Bologna that you called on the Italian
Caputo, yeah,
national
Caputo.
team, yes, it is a scrimmage, it is an exhibition game,
Right.
but it's still an international game, and these players will gain a little bit of experience because it will be useless to put the Bonucci's and the Chiellinis
yeah, no,
against the
no.
against the USA.
We
So you
spoke
want
about
these
How do you
players
feel? How do you feel, Ludo, about Francesco Caputo from Altamura Bari? He's got 6 goals. He scored a goal against Napoli, a goal against Juventus. Why isn't he not being looked at? The guy has always been, even in the lower divisions, he was always a top goal scorer in Serie B. He was always up there, and now he's doing it in Serie A. And he could very well be the goal-scoring leader when it's all said and done this year. And Mancini's not even looking at him.
So what team does he play for?
Empoli.
Is that the reason?
That's
to.
okay.
Well,
it
the
doesn't
reason
matter.
is, I
It's
think,
there's players
at this
from
point, he's
Sassuolo,
going,
there's players
he's
from-
going, he's going with experience at this point. So he
Yeah.
basically,
That's it.
he looks at 2, 3 players from each position. Like for example, you had Perin, a great goalkeeper for Genoa, starting every game.
Right.
Now he went to be the backup of the Juventus. If you're in the national team, let's say you can be called for the national team. Why would you want to sit on a bench and not play for a team
Terrible.
where you can play 90 minutes, 90 minutes at 90 minutes every
Terrible.
game?
Exactly.
So now, right now, what Mancini is trying to do is, yes, he is bringing heart, he is bringing emotions, he is bringing passion back to the Italian national team, but now we're lacking goal scoring.
Yeah.
This is what we're lacking now. So now you have a guy like Balotelli, who's 26, 27 years old, I don't even know, who's
Yeah.
still a kid.
Right.
Mentally speaking, he still hasn't grown up. So now, if he did give him a chance back in August or September,
Yeah.
something happened between game 1 and game 2
Yeah, he played
that he
against
didn't call
Poland.
him anymore.
Yeah, after the Poland game, that was the last time we
So
saw him.
now, a coach like Mancini or any other coach, he has to think about the group. He has to think about the locker room. Remember, every locker room has senators. The senators are taken into consideration, and then the entire group. If the group says we do not want this player, Mancini
he's
or
not.
any other coach, they will not call that particular player.
What about
because he
Immobile?
ruins the balance of the
What
of the
about
locker
what
room.
about Ciro Immobile? He's ripping it up in Serie A, but in the national team he hasn't scored a goal in over a year. He had 2 easy chances.
Well,
to
it
put
could
the
be,
ball in.
it could be nervousness. It could be. There's a lot of factors that go
To
into
his
it.
defense, if he's getting chances, that's a good
Yes,
thing.
all
That's
of a
good
sudden,
thing.
correct.
But if he's not doing anything,
Yeah.
that's different.
No,
but he's getting chances.
But John, he's getting chances. But what counts is putting the ball in the net.
Of
and
course,
he
but
hasn't
listen,
done that.
as a
you know?
soccer player, if you're getting chances, that's all you can ask for. Even as a coach, if my player's getting chances, he's not scoring, it's going to go in eventually.
Yeah, but you know what? He's
As a coach,
He's
thinking.
yeah, but Immobile.
You're a fan.
Yeah.
You're seeing it the wrong way as
No,
a fan.
but Immobile, I think he's gotten too many chances because, you know, he's a different
But he's
player.
going to be called up no matter
He's
what.
a
so
different
he's
player.
gonna
For
be
some
there.
reason, like, okay, with Lazio, no problem. But maybe he's playing a little bit back. His position with the national team is not the same as in the league. And he's, you know, it's strange because he's
Well,
not.
look at Belotti, for example.
Yeah.
Belotti is not the same player as he was 2 years ago with Torino. He had a great season. Torino did not want to sell him, so now he only plays for Torino. So now here's a great I think he's a great player.
He is.
But now we need to see him at an international level,
Perform,
in
yeah.
Champions League, in Europa League, to compete. He's a fighter.
Yeah.
When I see Belotti play, he reminds me of Cavani. He always has that fire
Yeah.
in his eyes
Yeah,
that he
yeah.
wants to kill everyone on the field. He really puts 150%, but he lacks experience,
Yeah.
and I think he also had some physical issues.
Okay. Yeah.
That he's not the same player as he was 2 years ago. Now, Torino received a few offers to sell them.
AC Milan.
Kaido did not want to sell him.
Yeah.
So now he's worth not even half for what he was worth 2 years ago. But now, if you would have gone to any European team 2 years ago, maybe would have had more international
That's true.
experience.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
Let's touch on Buffon. What's your take on Gigi going to PSG? We haven't spoke about that. I know it was last season.
Juventus, see the thing that I like, and I don't say this often about Juventus, is that Juventus is a corporation. Juventus is a business.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
basically, yes, you gave a certain amount of years to the club give it back to you, but when the time has come, Juventus will put their foot down and say, listen, it's time for you to go.
That's it,
They
yeah.
did it with Del Piero.
Yeah.
They did it with Buffon. You might ask for something, you're not going to get it. Look at Marotta, for example. Marotta, the general manager, after so many years at Juventus, a month before he found out that his contract was not going to be renewed, so he might go to
Inter.
He might go to Inter.
Yeah.
So it's a team that wants to keep up with the European mentality, with the big club mentality, like Real Madrid,
Right. Barca.
or Barcelona,
Yeah.
or Bayern Munich.
Right.
He wants to. It's a club, and it's the only club in Italy that can do that because the money
So the money's
Yeah.
there.
that's
Juventus
that's able to generate.
Juventus is very capable of winning a decade in a row, the Scudettos.
So-
They're on their way. Now they're
No,
trying to go for 8.
Listen, absolutely, without a doubt. But
As
the
a
players
knob-
that they have, I mean, you have players on the bench that are making $8, $9, $10 million a year. Napoli or any other team
Yeah.
cannot compete with them. Look at
yeah.
Roma. Roma, every year, it's like they're starting over and over and over again. They have to sell a couple of players, and they're back, and they're always in deficit. Napoli is not.
Yeah.
But Napoli cannot. Napoli has a cap. Napoli cannot pay more than $5-6 million per year their top players. Juventus can offer them more money, and they stay on the bench. So they have 25 players that at any given time they can play in Serie A. Even though this year I think that Juventus might slip up a little because they're not too much concentrated
focus, yeah.
on the Serie A.
Yeah.
But I think their
Uncle
focus
Tony.
is on.
So-
For Juventus, it's Champions League trophy or bust.
Yeah,
That's
so
a good
Lou,
point.
as a Naples fan, right? If they don't win, if Juventus does not win the Champions League,
it's a failure.
it's a failure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Of
So their
course.
main focus is Vincenzo, call the studio line, please. Ciao.
Yes, their main, yes.
Is
You
the
could
Champions
win 10, 15 Scudettos because you are going to win those Scudettos based on the revenue that the club generates on a yearly basis
Right.
that cannot compete with the rest of the
right.
Serie A.
What's the money for the Champions League? Do you know?
Lot. If you reach
if
the
the final,
final,
you
the
win the-
semifinal, you're looking at between 110 and 130 million dollars.
And they haven't, an Italian club hasn't won in a while, the Champions League.
Yeah.
Well, the last one was Inter.
It's
I
been
believe,
a little bit.
when they
Yeah,
had
it's been a little
they played
bit.
in the,
Yeah, it's been a little bit, but we're talking about.
But now we're competing.
Yeah.
Yes, progress has been made by the Italian clubs. We are competing, and we are getting a little better. We are very close with even. I think we're better than the English and the Spanish. So we are getting there. We are
that's-
getting the
but
respect
that's no thanks
from the past.
But the Italian players is what we really want,
Yeah.
not foreign
Yes,
players to
correct,
come
absolutely.
here.
I
Like
agree with you,
Ronaldo,
Joe.
does Juventus need Ronaldo to win the Champions League?
Maybe.
Do they really need that guy to win the Champions League?
Well, they got to the final 3 years ago, back in
Without him.
2015 with Zaza.
Thank you.
playing forward. They got to the.
So
they
thank
got
you.
to the,
So the
to
answer is
the
no.
final.
The answer is no.
I don't know.
Me would have
Remains to be
stuck with
seen.
Buffon for another year instead of Ronaldo. But they brought Ronaldo in because it's a business, and he's selling shirts and he's selling tickets. He
there's a
sold
call.
out. He
There's a
sold
call.
out.
David's saying
The
you got a
first
call.
5 minutes they signed,
There's a
they
question
sold
for
out.
you. Brooklyn Italians, is there a
Right.
Staten Island branch? They want to know.
No, there's not.
No.
No, there's not a Staten Island branch. We are unique to Brooklyn, even though we have many Staten Island players that come over the bridge and play for the Brooklyn.
Yeah, they're
Italians.
not far. They're right over the
We
bridge.
have coaches that live in Staten Island, and we have
Right.
a few players that live in Staten Island, and they.
Do you have a
they
phone
come
number you want to
Brooklyn.
give out if anybody's
The
interested?
phone number of the club is 718-232-9435, and the website is brooklynitalians.org.
Right. You can see them on Facebook too. They have
Yes,
a Facebook
Facebook
page.
and the
Instagram.
website, and
Website, okay.
yes.
Yeah. All right. So, again, that's just my feeling. I don't think they need him to put them over the top. Yeah.
Well,
What do
he's
you
still
think?
one of the best
You
players.
think they really need
Well,
him?
you have the best play. There was an opportunity. Ronaldo coming to Serie A
Yeah.
did not only benefit Juventus, it benefited the entire
Right.
Serie A, and it brought them back to the 90s, to the 80s,
Yeah.
when we had the best players
we have
in
Diego
the world,
Maradona.
starting with Maradona, Falcao,
Yeah,
Zico.
that's true.
They were all coming to. To Serie A.
That's true.
So now it did bring a little bit of
some energy.
fame
Right,
back
some more energy
yes,
to
yes,
the
for the
whole-
entire.
right.
For the entire, remember, just like Maradona did back in the 80s and 90s with Napoli,
Yeah.
Ronaldo will generate revenue for other clubs by selling out and
you saw-
playing in other clubs.
ESPN already has a deal now. They're showing all the games from Italy. ESPN Plus.
Yes, Ben lost their right after
Right.
3 years. They did lose the contract was
Yeah,
not.
contract's over. ESPN took over, but it definitely attracted attention.
Oh, it did.
Without a
Well,
doubt.
from that point of view, as a whole, Italian Serie A did make some progress
Right.
at the international level with the clubs.
Right.
Champions League, Europa League, we have more clubs getting to the next round and even reaching semis and quarterfinals. What work needs to be done, a lot of work needs to be done, is at the national team level.
Absolutely.
And in order for that to change, the Italian Serie A clubs, all the clubs,
Of course.
they have to support the national team.
right.
If they're not going to support, and not all the clubs are going to be on the same page, the national
That's right.
team will never reach
Yeah, it's full
the,
potential.
So
the
question.
full
Because
potential
you look at
the
England now,
international
England
level.
is improving. You look at Holland, Holland is back. They just got into the Final Four by tying Holland. They beat France the other day. These clubs are
They
they're
tied
coming
Germany.
back.
Belgium. I mean, yes, yesterday they lost
yeah,
5-2.
they
But
know.
Belgium, back in the
They're only
80s and
human.
90s,
Yeah.
they were not even on the international map.
Right.
And look
Yeah.
at them now.
There
third
was only
place.
one player that I can remember from the 90s,
Yeah.
Vincenzo Scifo.
Schifo, he was very good. And
Back
then-
in the 90s
yeah.
when I was
Yeah.
young. Now you have
Yeah,
they have a
everybody.
great
Belgium,
they have a great team that play these players. They play in great.
to me,
Dries Mertens. You know how
that's
much
right.
Napoli
Oh,
paid Dries
forget it,
Mertens?
forget it.
9 million.
Yeah, they're stacked. Belgium is stacked.
9 million
and you know
Napoli
what?
played,
They,
paid for
they
Mertens.
lost 5-2, but you know what? They can't go on forever. Sooner or later.
So-
but I would love to see Belgium and Croatia square off in the European Cup final next year. Of what they
Croatia, a nation of 4 million people,
Croatia.
basically a little bit bigger than Brooklyn.
Heart, right? Heart,
A
talent, heart.
John, a great generation,
Great generation.
of players.
Okay.
That's
Remember,
right.
history
Yeah.
will be written when you have a great
Right.
generation of players.
right, golden generation.
And currently, Italy right now, we are lacking
The golden
talent.
generation, yeah.
We are lacking the talent right now in Italy.
So Ludo, I'm going to put you as head coaches of the national team for 5 minutes, okay? What would you do different? What players would you have on the starting 11 for Saturday's game? Different.
What do you mean Saturday's game?
Oh, the
Saturday's game
against
that we played
Portugal.
against Portugal,
Steven
right?
Al Sharawi.
No, I would have done exactly. I
same
would have done.
lineup?
I would have done exactly what Mancini did, and see, but Italy pressed for 60 minutes.
right.
You have the players, so Mancini wanted to put on the field players that more or less they know each other. Now you got Jorginho that
Yeah.
dictates the play at the midfield. 90% of his balls, they are first touches.
Chemistry.
Insigne that played with Jorginho. Verratti that played with Insigne
Yeah, okay.
in Pescara.
Yeah.
Immobile that played with Insigne and Verratti
So there
in
you go.
Pescara
Yeah.
So he-
under,
right. Chemistry.
under Zeman.
Do we got a caller?
Yeah, I think so.
It's my you, Johnny.
Hey, there he is, Vincenzo.
Listen, over there, it's a busy signal for the last half hour.
Hey, listen, you know this is the hottest show on earth, so.
I'm telling you, Staten Island Soccer Report.
Vincenzo, we have Vito and Ludovico Masucci. Ludo.
Caro Vincenzo, how are you?
Buonasera.
Come stai, Masucci?
Tutto bene, come stai Vincenzo? How are you?
Forza Napoli, forza Juventus, forza Italia. E forza Bari.
So-
Don't forget the Bari.
Of
Primo
course.
posto in Serie D.
Vincenzo, what's your take? What happened on Saturday?
L'Italia purtroppo gioca bene, ma non segna.
See, that's the truth.
E la regola del calcio, chi segna più gol vince.
See,
Who scores more goals wins.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Però io quello che vedo che nel futuro avremo una bella squadra.
I think the
Purtroppo-
Italians are starting to fall in love again with the Italian national team because these players, regardless how famous they are, they're showing heart. They're showing that they really care. I think everyone, regardless if they're on the bench, they play 5 minutes, everyone is putting 150% into this
Now-
into this project.
Mancini sta un experiment, vuole sperimentare con Tonelli, Grifo, a couple of youngsters, and now tomorrow with Keane. So, you know what? They have to, sooner or later, you got to give the youth a shot. You got to throw them in the fire sooner or later.
Well, now's the
You know,
time. Now's the time.
Gianni, the Italian team with Mancini, I like what he's doing because he's making space for the younger players. If you notice, the average age is 26 years old. If you take out Chiellini and Bonucci, the Italian probably is the youngest team in the tournament.
Right.
So, you know, I like the goalkeeper and all these young guys upcoming. Now it takes time.
He saved
you know,
him. He was
Roma wasn't
fantastic
built
save.
in one day.
Yes, Vincenzo, sorry to interrupt you. Regardless who you have on the national team, they might be famous players or non-famous player. The victories, the progress starts in the locker room. The first job of every coach, whether it's the national team or a club team coach, you have to create the atmosphere. You have to create the group inside the locker rooms and get rid of the rotten apples right away. Look at what happened with Germany in the last World Cup.
Yeah.
That locker room was split in four
Yeah.
in 4 ways.
Yeah.
That team was
And it
not
showed.
That,
Right.
that team
Right.
was not
Yeah.
together.
Ozil.
And it showed. Look at Argentina. Argentina, they had a coach that, to my understanding, he was a puppet. But for him to make a substitutions, he had to ask permission to Messi and Mascherano
Messi,
first
Messi.
before he would make a
Oh my God.
substitution. So Messi in Argentina decides who gets called and who doesn't get called. So you have to create the group. And what I give a lot of credit to Mancini so far, that's what in 1 year that he's been around, I believe, he created the group.
Yeah, 1 year,
He created
that's
the
all.
locker room. It's solid. They're working, they're sweating, and they're giving 150%. And that's the first step towards progress, toward victories.
Now, December 2nd is they have to wait the draw to see who they're going to be grouped with, Italy. They said December 2nd.
Correct.
The next
Correct.
phase, you know, because they didn't finish first. They're not going into the Final Four. You know what? It's a work in progress. They still need a lot to do. I mean, you know, I think we got a little spoiled when Italy was so great, 90, 94, 98, 2006. I think, you know, it's a whole regeneration now to get back.
Yeah.
It's going to take some
And
time,
it's
but
going to take time because it's
No,
a national
Johnny,
team.
we need a score.
They're not together every day.
they need a score is absolutely right.
To get the
There's
score
no,
like,
it's a shame that
Finale, Totò Schillaci, Rossi.
Paolo Rossi, yeah.
We had always somebody that was
That's right.
able to score
Always,
4 or 5
always.
goals in the tournament.
Oh, Vito's got the guy.
Yeah, but back
Francesco
then, Vincenzo,
Caputo. Francesco
Vincenzo,
Caputo.
back then, in the like we were saying before, in the big Serie A teams, and I'm going to mention Juventus, you had 6, 7
Yeah.
Italians starting every week and playing the majority of the games and playing in Champions League at the international level, and that's how you won the World Cup in 2006 and in 1982. Remember, since 1974, where we were eliminated in Germany, we didn't even pass the first round. Italy, every 12 years, reached a final.
Yeah.
Either they won it or they lost it. But every 12 years, Italy was in a final since 1974, and last World Cup was the only one that they did not reach the final.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't see the Italian team being down forever because sooner or later something's going to give.
No,
It's going to. They've been on the decline for 12 years. You know what? I can't see that they have to. They can only go up from this point.
It's up to the Serie A clubs.
Yeah, it's
That's-
true. That's where it is.
We keep going back to the
yeah.
same.
Just-
It's up to the Serie A clubs, the youth system.
Give them a shot.
And they really want.
Coaches
they-
gotta let them
right.
play.
Remember when in 2006, when Germany lost the World Cup to Italy, the semifinal in
Yeah.
2006. Right, 3-4 months later, Germany put on a structure
Yeah.
at the youth level
Yeah.
that every youth club in the Bundesliga had to follow that structure
where it
of
starts.
development. But all the clubs were on the same page.
They bought
all the
in.
clubs
Right.
agreed,
Yes.
and all the clubs followed through.
Yeah.
In Italy, it's a little bit different the way things get done. You might change the people on top, whoever sits behind the desk, but the work has to be done on the field, on the grass,
Yeah.
at the club level.
E non sulla lavagna, bisogna giocare sul campo.
They have to start playing on the streets, Vincenzo, like we
right.
used to play on the streets when we were little, and get off the phones and get off the
right.
internet. They have to go
internet.
back with the Super Santos on the streets and play in the piazzas like we used to when we were kids.
So if they miss the Euros, not a shock, right? Not a surprise.
Well, I doubt it. No, you're not going to miss the.
not gonna- they're gonna
you're not gonna
qualify?
miss the Euro. Yes, you will. You will qualify. It's only a matter of where
Where they're
you're
gonna-
going to end up. Yes,
Okay.
you know when the draw, where you're going to be. You know in which bracket
right.
you're gonna be of the draw.
Italy's hosting some games in the Euro 2020. Some of the phases they're going to be hosting.
Okay.
Rome is a city. They did like a split Euro. The final's going to be in Wembley, but Italy's going to have some
Yeah.
presence.
Right. So they're basically trying to spread the wealth.
Incorporate,
They want to
yeah.
give a right.
Yeah,
It's-
well-
like we said, it all comes down to
Yeah. And-
to business where everybody wants to eat and everyone wants a piece of the
They want
pie.
a
And I
piece of
heard Ludo and Vincenzo and John that Portugal and Spain are trying to host the 2030, but they want Morocco to join them. What do you think about that for 2030? World Cup?
Listen,
That's an
Morocco
African
and
team.
Spain,
Yeah.
they see each other across the sea.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an
You know,
African
they're-
team. I
they're
think
not,
you already did. They approve that they're going to play with 48 teams in
Yes,
2022.
it's a done deal.
Okay, going back talking about business, Qatar getting the World Cup in 2022, a nation that doesn't even exist on the soccer map wins the bid
Right.
for only God knows what took place under the table and
The
the
almighty
millions of
dollar.
dollars that
The almighty dollar.
the almighty dollar that
That's it.
now you have 48 I believe it's already 48 teams or they're going to
48.
start in 2026
26 will be the first
Which-
year.
right so they're going to have like a
2022, one
group
more
so
time.
everybody
Yeah.
so now you have more games you generate more revenues you have the sponsors everybody gets richer the federations the national teams everyone is going to get
And what do you think
richer.
about Usain Bolt, the fastest man on the planet, offered a soccer contract? I think Body should sign him. I know he was going to the Australian League where Del Piero was. That's where they talked
You
to.
know, Vito, talking about the subject, I think Manchester, he wants to, because his favorite team is Manchester United.
Okay,
So he wants to go try out for Manchester United.
Yeah.
but you don't go to Manchester United without playing soccer. I don't think they, you
No,
know.
he's playing in Australia.
Yeah, the Australian league offered him a
But
contract.
he
I don't
wants
think
maybe
Mourinho
like
would
a
ever-
promotion, you know,
Would ever
before
agree
he
to that.
retire. That's right. I mean, like I said, brings people to the stadium.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sells ticket. It's a business. It's a business.
You know.
You know, what does Ronaldo do?
Well, we've seen
Sells
athletes.
tickets.
We've seen athletes change sports. We saw it with Michael Jordan, who tried to play for the baseball with the Chicago
Baseball,
White
yeah.
Sox. We saw
Chicago,
Bo
yeah.
Jackson play multiple sports.
Yep.
I mean, we've seen athletes do this. you
Yeah,
know?
he could do it.
It's
Hey.
not a new thing.
All right, guys, listen, we got about 3 minutes.
Hey,
Okay?
Johnny.
3 minutes. I want to give the 3 minutes to the women's national team of the United States for their 500th win about 2 weeks ago. Ludo, what do you think about that team?
They have a big, the women's national team, they have huge reputation around the world. They're great athletes. They're great. It's a great program,
Yep.
and they can compete with the best around the
Best in
world.
the world.
They have competed in the past 20 years with the best programs of the world.
All kidding around aside, do you think they could beat some men's team? Like,
No.
It's a different pace.
it's a
I
different.
doubt. I have
you
my
think?
doubt.
There's no men's team in the world that they can't.
It's a different pace. It's a
No,
different
no,
pace
they-
game
they
between a
changed the
women's
pace.
team and a women's game and a men's game. It's a completely different pace in the running and the development of the progression of the game.
Vincenzo.
Give us a score tomorrow.
No,
Italy,
I would- that would never-
Italy,
never
USA.
happen.
I want to hear what Enzo thinks tomorrow. Chi vince domani? Italia, Stati Uniti, amichevole.
Per me, as a coach, as a former soccer player, when I go inside the field, I put 200%. Doesn't matter if it's friendly, if it's a regular game. Go out there, play the game. If you make a mistake, learn from the mistake. It's a learning process for the coach, for the player. So I would say give it your best all the time, and then whatever happens, happens. So I would say this friendly game is just for the coach to find out who really wants to play.
Right.
If you go, well, I get there, I get an extra $100,000 because I was selected for the team. No, I want to. If I was Mancini, you're Masucci, you're on my team. Go inside, give it your best. You give it your best, I'm happy.
The United States only beat Italy once. Clint Dempsey. That was the only victory that they've ever.
Yeah.
they-
All right, Vincenzo, they're giving us a signal to wrap up. We got about 2 minutes.
Masucci, everybody, happy holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving,
Vincenzo.
Happy Thanksgiving, Vincenzo.
Arrivederci.
All right, ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Like I always call him the great Vincenzo.
He is great.
Hall of Fame, St. Francis College, Hall
Yes.
of Fame. So, hey, listen, he's a great soccer mind. Between him, you on the show tonight, forget it. The soccer mind we had.
Vincenzo's been on the field for the
How can you
past
forget
half a
minds?
century.
How can you forget me?
So,
How can you
anyway,
forget-
predictions for tomorrow. Friendly. Again, I mean, it's just a friendly.
Friendly, I would love to see a 2-2. Nice show.
Nice.
People enjoy.
Yeah.
They have fun.
They're saying 0-0-1-1. I mean,
So what are you saying?
the way both teams have been going, it's tough to figure these both teams out because United States lost England 3-0.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's.
Just pick a score quickly. We're
I
gonna run
can't
out
see
of time.
Italy not losing the game, but then why am I surprised? Anything could happen. You know, it's soccer. They could tie. United
All right.
States could
Anyway,
win.
I'm going to go with the more experienced players. I think Italy has the more experienced players.
They should win on paper.
and
on paper.
maybe they could edge the
But
U.S.
I
a
don't
little
think
bit.
80% of the players that played last Saturday will play.
No, no,
They're
no.
not- they're
No,
not
even the
playing.
young players on the Italian team, I think, have more experience than the American players, I think.
Oh, the second string players that.
Right,
yes,
so
that
I'm
play
going
with
to
the,
go, right. I think the experience for me will probably push the Italians ahead of the
Uncle
Americans.
Tony's got Italy winning
But-
2-0. 2-0. Uncle
That
Tony.
being said, it's a great experience for the American players to play against the Italian national team, no matter what team they put out there.
From different
course.
perspective,
You have
yes.
to play against the
Great
best.
experience for the American player to play against an international team with
Absolutely.
tradition, and the players of the Italian national team to
All right, guys.
also gain experience.
They're wrapping up the show without us on the screen, but thanks for watching. We'll see you guys soon.
Il mio sogno, quante volte mi hai deluso, non importa, io ci credo e vivo il mio sogno. Bari nel nostro cuore, non ti lasceremo da sola, facci sognare ancora, facci gridare ancora, Bari